Pilfer is a 3D platformer, but it is also a fairy tale. It takes place in a great forest set upon by the dichotomy of light and darkness, where our unlikely heroes must collect spirit lanterns to ensure the safety and sanctity of all life and creation. There are also magical realms tucked neatly away inside music boxes, an antagonistic owl made of the very stars themselves, and an abundantly apparent storybook aesthetic. It's quite charming. Regrettably, Pilfer isn't keen to let you experience or interpret these elements on your own. It repeatedly insists on detailing its own themes and ideas to you through rather transparently patronizing dialogue. It does also attempt to wring some genuine emotion from its simple setup, but ultimately falls flat on that front as well, owed almost entirely to its bafflingly inconsistent pacing. That's not to say the atmosphere isn't worthwhile on its own, but any attempts at narrative strength are swiftly squashed flat. Fortunately, 3D platformers are more than their story, and so Pilfer is more than its narrative ambitions. Taken as a game foremost, this is really good stuff. The movement mechanics, built around dives, dive cancels, and a generally Mario-inspired template, are restricted enough to ensure a challenging experience, but fluid enough to invite experimentation and freestyle improvisational pathfinding. It feels like a polished Mario 64 ROM hack, in the best way that can possibly be taken. There are minor skips possible everywhere, and you'll gradually notice more and more of them as you grow accustomed to the surprising wealth of options available to you. But what about the levels? The actual locations in which you properly demonstrate your platforming prowess? Well, they're varied and vibrant, which is a rather strong start. Many 3D platformers live and die on the strength of their level theming, Pilfer more so than most, and it thankfully succeeds spectacularly here. You've got a factory run by busy bees, full of cogs and suspended rails which you grind along, just as an electric current might pulse through a cable. You've got a world of wool, thread, and buttons, dutifully spun by sapient spiders, for they are truly adept craftsmen. There's also a world wherein we're treated to the starkly opposed neon glow and pitch blackness of the ocean floor, or another where we become the subject around which light flows, dancing anew on a white screen as a flattened shadow. Not only are each of these appropriate to the storybook setting and well justified in their symbolic nature, they provide thoughtful mechanics. It works on every level. You fling yourself using pins like slingshots in the spider's crafty silken caverns, you ride conveyors and wires in the heavily automated factory, and you flick switches to banish the darkness of the deep sea's labyrinthine trenches. Each mechanic and idea is steadily expanded upon by more complex permutations, ensuring the gameplay loop is as satisfying as it is spellbinding. It's all perfectly realized personality in gameplay, themes, and style. Well, almost perfectly realized. There are a couple hang-ups, some dud levels here and there. For example, the game so wonderfully captures the otherworldly, foreboding majesty of the deep sea, but can't manage the same for the woodland worlds. Forests are places which are lush with life, harmony, growth, and perpetual change. But you don't really see any of that here. There are a couple plant platforms, but otherwise it's fairly empty of critters aside a few NPCs. But in the scope of Pilfer's artistic enormity, these complaints, as with the earlier narrative grievances, are fairly forgivable. This is a dazzling hop-and-bop romp with smart design and memorable, lovingly crafted locales to explore. If you're a fan of Mario Galaxy or 3D platformers in general, you really should give this one a go.